identified after the World War II. It is an intergovernmental organization whose stated aims include promoting and facilitating cooperation in international law and security, economic development, social progress, human rights, civil rights and liberties, political freedoms, democracy, and the achievement of long-lasting world peace.
This is the very reason why we are gathered here today. Good afternoon. Welcome to the first ever virtual United Nations celebration of St. Therese-MTC College's High School Department.
As we start this celebration, may we be all in silence as we recognize the presence of our Creator through a prayer, after which is the singing of our national anthem.
A Theresian's Prayer. Father in heaven, we come before you to honor your most holy name. We thank you for the gift of life you have given us. We humbly seek your forgiveness for our sins and imperfections. Give us strength to overcome the fear, anxiety, and difficulties brought by this pandemic. Shield us with your mercy as we face this life's battle against the uncertainty and distress. Protect us from harm as we perform our duties with contentment. Bless our families with your love as we leave them to fulfill our noble task. Comfort us with your kindness that we may be equipped with the strength to grow our minds amidst vulnerability. Provide us rest and relief from the threat we face. Grant those who lead us with wisdom, courage, and decisiveness, that they may inspire us to do more and become more. Guide our thoughts so that we will walk with wisdom to make things in accordance to your will. Father in heaven, help us excel in our endeavors. These we offer in your holy name forever. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, helas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinatang tulakaw.
this moment, Mrs. Mary Jane P. Garcia, MDiv, MEd, Principal of Magdalo Site, will give her opening remarks.
To our beloved President, Dr. Maria Teresa S. Sarabia, our ever handsome Vice President, Mr. John Frederick S. Sarabia, our gorgeous Administrative Assistant, Ms. Mary Margaret Rose S. Sarabia, our ever dynamic site representative, Chief Mate Ray G. Lambrio, to my fellow principal from Tigbawan site, Midanya T. Malagsik, MAED, MEd, to all department heads, to our lovely high school teachers and 3 sites, to our dear parents and students, good day. The celebration of United Nations is a yearly activity which we as a nation join because the Philippines is one of the 51 founders. The United Nations system in the Philippines began in 1945 when the Philippines joined 49 other nations in signing the United Nations Charter in San Francisco, USA. Since the charter came into force on October 24, 1945, the partnership between the governments of the Philippines has been growing steadily. This year, 2020, United Nations theme is Sharing Peace Together, which narrows also to our focus theme entitled Filipino Shared Legacy, World Peace and Unity. We as a nation have a great contribution to world peace, not directly but in so many ways. This year has its own uniqueness in dealing with peace, as our enemy is not each other but the unseen tiny creature, the virus. This common enemy we have is the tireless virus that threatens our health, security, and very way of life. COVID-19 has thrown our world into turmoil and forcibly reminded us that what happens in one part of the planet can impact people everywhere. Let me read to you the message of Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General. Secretary General Message 2020. The International Day of Peace is devoted to urging warring parties everywhere to lay down their weapons and work for harmony. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to ravage the world, this call is more important than ever. That is why I appeal for a global ceasefire in March. Our world faces a common enemy, a deadly virus that is causing immense suffering, destroying livelihoods, contributing to international tensions and exacerbating already formidable peace and security challenges. The focus of this year's International Day of Peace is sharing peace together. In that spirit, and to mark our 75th anniversary, the United Nations is bringing together for a global conversation about shaping our future and forging peace in trying times. In these days of physical distancing, we may not be able to stand next to one another, but we must still stand together for peace. And together, I know we can and will build a more just, sustainable, and equitable world. Antonio Guterres. I hope that his message will inspire us to share peace together as one world. Good day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Garcia. With all the costumes and preparations, let us ask ourselves, what do we really know about United Nations? And now, may we call on Mrs. Medanya T. Malagsik, MAED, MEd, Principal of Tigbawan Site, to introduce to us our guest speaker to give us a handful of information.
To our dear President, Dr. Maria Teresa S. Sarabia, our Vice President, Mr. John Frederick S. Sarabia, Department Heads, Faculty and Staff, Parents, Students, Guests, Ladies and Gentlemen, good afternoon. I am honored and privileged to introduce to you our guest speaker for today's celebration. He is the native of Pico Benguet, but currently residing at Haro, Iloilo City. He graduated his Bachelor of Arts in Political Science at Mindanao State University, year 2012. He also got units in Bachelor of Law and Masters of Public Administration at Palawan State University. Further, he finished his Masters in Development Management and Governance at University of Makati year 2016. Currently, he is finishing his Doctor of Philosophy in Social Science at West Visayas State University, La Paz, Iloilo City. He is a local, national, and international speaker on leadership, parliamentary procedures, indigenous people and languages, instructional materials, technology and education, leadership and governance, patterns-based problem solving, logical fallacies, Miranda Doctrine, criminal justice system, politics, team building, human trafficking, and geopolitics. He also attended the local module writing. He was also presented and coach of the international research conferences, such as 17th International Conference on Japanese Studies held at Casa Real, Iloilo, Iloilo City. 2018 International Social Science Camp, Promoting and Accelerating Sustainable Development Goals in Talisay, Negros Occidental. And 4th Asia Pacific Society of Petroleum Engineers Students Chapter Conference held at Palawan, Puerto Princesa, Palawan. For his work experience, he was an instructor in Social Sciences Department, College of Arts and Humanities at Palawan State University in year 2012 to 2016, College Secretary of College of Criminal Justice Education, Palawan State University, and Dean Officer in charge of the same institution. He was also the instructor in St. Thomas College, Tabuk City, Kalinga, Philippines. Managing Director of Panay News Incorporated, Iloilo City from February to May 2017. At the present, he is the Special Science Teacher 2 at the Philippine Science High School, Western Visayas Campus, Bitoon, Haro, Iloilo City. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome an innovative educator of political science dedicated to pursuit of discovering and cultivating the full potential of learners through a well-prepared course designs, instructional materials, and outcomes-based activities to implement and facilitate an efficient, effective, and a learner-centered curriculum of instruction. All eyes to Mr. Josiah Jason Asdig Mangangot.
Good day, everyone. I hope you're all in perfect health and having a blissful existence despite this pandemic. So first, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Ma'am Mary Jane Garcia for inviting me as your speaker for this event. It will always be my pleasure to be invited by Ma'am Jane and to be speaking in front of you. I may not be physically present to interact with you, but I sincerely hope that this time that you will be spending with me virtually will be a meaningful one. So it is my desire that you get to learn from this talk and ultimately inspire a spark within you that will change not only your existence, but to others' existence as well. So let me tell you about my day so far. So I woke up from an alarm na sinet up ko sa phone ko na gawa sa United States of America. Inayos ko yung bed na may bed sheet and punda na made in China. I then turned on my laptop na gawa sa Japan. And when I checked my email, I got a message from my friend who is currently in South Africa and another email from a colleague in Singapore. After that, nagluto ako ng noodles na gawa sa Korea. Sa aking cooking wares, na galing pa sa Sweden. After eating, I brushed my teeth using a toothbrush na imported pa mula sa India, and toothpaste na sa England naman nagmula. By now, you might be thinking, ang social naman ni sir. Tama ba? But the truth is, that is not only true to me. That is just an illustration, but that is actually true to all of us. Now, I want you to settle down for a minute and observe your surroundings and the things that you have. Look at your walls, your cell phones, your televisions. If you have posters on your walls, do notice the faces. By any chance, do you see Park Jimin of BTS? I hope I got that right, no? Or maybe Taka of One Ok Rock? Or Naruto? Or Monkey D. Luffy? Or Goku? You guys know those, right? Or let's check your phone or laptop wallpapers. Do you see Billie Eilish? Or LeBron James maybe? Or maybe Park Seo-joon for some, no? Or our soon-to-be representative to the Miss Universe, Rabia, from our beautiful city of love. Pero pupusta ako, may iba sa inyo na mga mukha ng crushes o mga special someone nyo ang nandyan, no? Pero may kilala din ako na ang nakalagay naman sa wallpapers nila, yung class schedule nila o kaya list ng module deadlines nila. Maybe some of you can react, no? But whatever or whoever that is, the point is, the generation of today, tayo, no? Tayo, we are not anymore in a box of our traditional identities. When I say that, I mean we have already been influenced by the world. Some of the things you are using now, in fact, most of them, no, are not solely Filipino-made. No, they are not anymore solely Filipino-made. The music you listen to is not anymore solely by our local artists. But by all means, please listen to OPM, no? Tangkilikin natin ang sariling atin. But going back to the point, again, we have already been influenced by the world. And in turn, we Filipinos have also influenced the world. If we talk about Filipino hospitality, adobo, arnis, those are not anymore alien to the world, no? Most of the people in the world know those to be Filipino. And this was primarily realized because of the phenomenon we call globalization. Today, I was tasked to talk to you about Filipinos' shared legacy to world peace and unity. If you look at our theme, it is very clear that this talk should contain the Filipino shared legacy to world peace and unity, right? However, I tweaked it a little to make it more personal and more active. So for this talk, we will be looking at two things, right? First, we will look at the legacy of the Filipinos to the world in a trivia manner, right? To make things more interesting. And then second, we'll talk about you. Yes, you. And how you can leave a legacy for this whole world to see and celebrate. So on to the first part. Let us talk about trivias. Do you know that a Filipina is credited with studies that led to the invention of an improved incubator? Yes, we are talking about Fe del Mundo. Fe del Mundo's invention has saved countless of premature infants in the world. Maybe even some of you. Baka ipinanganak kang premature and so you needed to be put in an incubator. Well, thanks to Dr. Fe del Mundo, a Filipina. Second, one way or another, you have tried using this. Pupusta ako, you have tried using this. In fact, you may also have been annoyed by this. Any idea? Well, we are talking about the karaoke sing-along system by Roberto del Rosario. Again, a Filipino. Yes, karaoke is a proud Filipino invention. You know, I remember this one time, merong kinoconstruct na building mga 50 meters away from where I was staying, no? And since malapit na silang mag-opening, the workers decided to do some karaoke singing. So they decided on having some jam, no? Nag-set up sila ng pagkalaki-laking sound system, then started their jam at around 4 p.m. Take note, 4 p.m. No? Alam nyo kung kailan sila natapos? 9 p.m. Not the same day, but the next day. For Pete's sake, more than 24 hours silang nag-jamming, no? I remember I so much wanted to call the police on them, but it didn't happen. So, but yeah, that is one proof that the Filipinos are indeed into singing. No? Even to the extent of your neighbors not being able to sleep that night. So that's the second one. Now, speaking of singing and songs, we have that song na sumikat nitong taon lang or nakaraang taon, no, entitled Buwan. And speaking of Buwan, do you know that we also have a participation in the moon exploration? Yes, moon exploration. Because the mechanical engineer Eduardo San Juan, aka the Space Junkman, worked on the team that invented the lunar rover or the moon buggy. San Juan is considered the primary designer of the lunar rover. Yung ginamit nilang sasakyan para maglibot sa moon. Okay? So he was also the designer of the articulated wheel system. Prior to the Apollo program, San Juan also worked on the intercontinental ballistic missile. So hindi basta-basta itong Pinoy na to. So that is mechanical engineer Eduardo San Juan. No? How about going to legacies that are nearer to home? In fact, here mismo sa ating hometown, Iloilo. If Engineer San Juan was responsible for the conceptual design for the lunar rover that was eventually used in the exploration of the moon, do you know that there is an asteroid? Yes, you heard that right. Asteroid between Mars and Jupiter that is named after an Ilongga? Yes, that asteroid is named Planet Bio, named after Dr. Josette Bio, the former director of our school, Philippine Science High School, Western Visayas, and then she later became the executive director of the PSI system, and currently the director of the Department of Science and Technology, Science Education Institute, An Ilongga. Okay? And of course, how could we forget our very own Dr. Abelardo Aguilar, a scientist from Iloilo who discovered the erythromycin in 1949. Dr. Abelardo was testing samples of soils from his backyard and isolated microorganisms, a bacteria that led to the development of the antibiotic called erythromycin. Yes, proud Filipino, proud Ilonggo. In fact, the medicine was first named as Ilozone, named after, you guessed that right, Iloilo. Okay? And many others. If we talk about all our beloved Ilonggos legacies to the world, nako, kulang ang ating panahon. But aside from that, one specific Filipino legacy that indeed contributed to world peace and unity is the People Power Revolution. If meron mang contribution ang mga Pinoy na swak sa ating tema, that is the People Power Revolution. Not only were we able to topple down a dictator through this peaceful revolution, we also inspired other nations to do so, to do the same, to break free from oppression and other governmental dictatorships. Many similar revolutions have followed since the People Power Revolution, taking the Philippine example of non-violent regime change, such as that in East Germany and many other former Soviet bloc countries. It also helped inspire the Arab Spring in 2011. So as you can see, in many different respects and aspects, not only in world peace and history, we Filipinos have been leaving our marks. This begs the question, how a young individual such as you could also leave a mark and a legacy that could make this world a better place. Let us now go to the second part where we talk about you. I will be mentioning 3 ways on how we as young individuals could influence the change to this world and how can we be catalysts for change and development. First, educate yourself. Cliché as it may sound, but I cannot stress this enough. Education is the first step. And when I say education, I do not only refer to the formal education that one can have. This involves all other forms, including non-formal ones. This is a call for seeking knowledge, embracing it and loving it. We are currently in one of the most challenging and depressing times in our lifetime. We are in a pandemic. But do not let that take away from you the opportunity of being a more learned individual. Follow your passion, educate yourself, master it, and then ultimately influence change within yourself, then to your community, and then on to the world. So first, take your education seriously, but take note, at the same time, do not forget to enjoy it and have fun. You know, my personal philosophy in life is excellence in everything. And when I say excellence in everything, that does not mean perfection. In this context, I see excellence to be a relative term, meaning my excellence might not be super good for someone else, but instead, when I say excellence in everything, I mean I give my best to the best of my abilities, given my limited mind in everything that I do. So if my best is only 80 over 100, I accept it. But I know I can still do better. So I'll persevere more. Again, to the best of my ability. And then the next time, if I get 80.5, I will celebrate that 0.5. Because again, it is not about perfection. It is about giving your excellence, giving your excellence, giving your best. This will also save you from regrets, no? When you give your excellence. Maybe you have heard yourself saying, sayang, ibinigay ko sana lahat ng aking makakaya. And then wala na, kasi tapos na. Tapos na yung exam. O kaya wala na. Wala na siya sa buhay mo. Kasi tinake for granted mo ata kasi siya. Tsaka you did not give your excellence in the relationship. So then again, excellence. Now going back to the point, again, embrace education. And I promise you, it will lead you somewhere. Ayon pa kay Aristotle, the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. So kayod lang. Sometime soon, you will reap all the fruits. And that I promise you. And as you progress, take note of this. Babatuhin at babatuhin ka. So you better be ready. Kasi ang punong mangga na maraming bunga, babatuhin at babatuhin talaga. And when that happens, keep the faith and stay strong and rooted. Second, be an active participant of socio-political affairs. When I say this, and I couldn't be clear enough on this one, I do not mean you go against the government or vice versa, or be a member of the left or the right. That is not what we mean. What I mean is be a critical citizen. Be politically inclined. Practice your being a citizen of the Philippines. Participate in voting. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. Fight for what is right and defend our land. You know, it saddens me so much when the generation of today say that they want to leave this country because of how things are going on. I see several Facebook posts, every now and then from both the millennials and the Generation Z, and even from former generations. So much for calling each generation a generation, but then again, let's just go with it, saying that they should now apply for visa and passports to go to other countries because, millions of pesos were spent just for thousands of sacks of dolomite. Well, that is what they want to do, and they are entitled to do that. But I am just sad knowing that instead of helping solve the issue, not only the money-related ones, including all other issues, they wish to just run away from it na lang. Not that it is a bad thing, because sometimes fleeing is the best solution. It just saddens me that we are more influenced by what is happening than staying anchored to our being a Filipino. Does that mean that if the administration is kinda better for them later on, they would just then return to the Philippines and then fly again when they feel the administration is not so good? It is like being in a course, Sa first sem, nag-enroll ka as a nursing student. And then, in the middle of the SEM, may nakaalitan kang teacher. And so, instead of patching things up with that teacher and trying to make things work, you said, ayoko na mag-nursing. Shift na lang ako sa engineering. Tapos, pag wala na yung teacher, balik na lang ako sa nursing. And then, so on and so forth. My point is that our country and our being a Filipino is worth fighting for. And I hope we at least give it a shot. In so doing, it is my hope that we will inspire others to do the same. So that's the second point. And lastly, be a citizen of the world. When I say that, I do not mean to get as many citizenships as possible, because that cannot be done. Okay? This is an encouragement to all of us to be welcoming of other cultures, but still being rooted to our being a Filipino. Go out to the world and learn the most that you can about it. But at the same time, leave your mark as a Filipino. Teach them who we are as a people. Respect them for who they are, so that in turn, you shall also receive the same. The best way for you to leave a legacy in this world is just simply by embracing your being a Filipino. You do not need to be somebody else, but work on improving yourself, making yourself familiar with the works of the world, and ultimately telling the world your story. Now, let me tell you about the legacy of two people, so that maybe we can get some reference on how we should leave our legacies as well. There was a study done by A.E. Winship in 1900, no, of two men who lived and died in the 18th century. So we are talking of an entire generation. The first, Max Juke, was an atheist and married a girl of the same opinion. Okay? He used drugs, alcoholic, and etc. Now, from this union came 1,026 descendants. So, mula sa kanilang union, no? Mula sa kanilang marriage, nagkaroon sila ng 1,026 descendants. A study of this man's descendants, no? Chinek nila, ni-research nila kung ano nang nangyari dun sa mga descendants ni Max Juke na yon. And eto ang lumabas. Out of all those 1,026 descendants, 7 murderers, 60 magnanakaw, 190 prostitutes, 150 other convicts, no? So maaring nakulong sila dahil sa iba't ibang mga kasalanan. 310 were paupers. Ibig sabihin, eto sila yung mga poorest of the poor. Okay? Yung sa kalye nang nakatira, and etc., etc. And 440 of them were physically wrecked by addiction to alcohol. Of the 1,200 plus the descendants that were studied, 300 died prematurely. And the family cost the state of New York, take note of this, $1,100,000, which was an astronomical figure in 1900s. We are talking about 1900s, and ang gasto ng New York sa kanilang lahat, with everything that they did, no, was $1,100,000 US dollars. Now, another man, just like what I mentioned a while ago, no, the great preacher Jonathan Edwards believed in God and married a girl of like character. From that union, there were 729 descendants who were studied. Out of all the 729 descendants, 285 were college graduates, 100 were clergymen, 100 were lawyers, 80 were public office holders, 75 were military officers, 65 were professors, 60 were doctors, 30 were judges, 13 were college presidents, 1 dean of a medical school, 1 dean of a law school, 3 mayors, 3 governors, 3 U.S. senators, and 1 U.S. vice president. The legacy you will leave in the world is dependent on you. It is your choice. You have the choice to either be a Max Juke or be a Jonathan Edwards. It's up to you. As I end, I want to tell you again about my day. So, I woke up from an alarm na sinet up ko sa phone ko na gawa sa United States of America. Inayos ko yung bed ko na may bedsheet and punda na made in China. I then turned on my laptop na gawa sa Japan. When I checked my email, I got a message from my friend who is currently in South Africa and another email from a colleague in Singapore. After that, nagluto ako ng noodles na gawa sa Korea sa aking cooking wares na galing pa sa Sweden. After eating, I brushed my teeth using a toothbrush na imported pa mula sa India and toothpaste na sa England naman nagmula. Pagkatapos kong maligo, umalis ako at pumunta sa trabaho na pinagmamalaking ako ay Pinoy. Umuwi ako na taas noong Pilipino at natulog akong isang Pilipino. Bukas, gigising akong muli na isang Pilipino. Muli, isang mapagpalang araw sa ating lahat. And if you want to leave a legacy that this world will remember, be a Filipino. Embrace your being a Filipino. Good day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mangagot, for giving us your time and effort as well as for sharing your knowledge and expertise to us. It is our pleasure to learn something from you.
As men of the world, we have been nurtured by genes and the environment. We have been made productive of the advancement of the world. Because of this, we organize a competition to look for the one who has the guts, power, and creativity to be awarded as Best in Poster Making and Best in UN Costume. To select the winners, we have been guided by the following mechanics and criteria. Mechanics and criteria for the UN Costume Contest. Virtual Costume Contest is open to all high school students of St. Therese-MTC colleges in all three sites, the Magdalo, Tigbawan, and La Fiesta. Each grade and section must have 2 representatives. Each participant must take a whole body picture wearing a costume that portrays a UN country of their choice. The use of indigenous and recyclable materials is encouraged. The pictures must be submitted on or before October 26, 2020 at 5 p.m. to Miss Fevime Sermila on her Facebook Messenger. Entries will be posted on high school Facebook page. The decision of the judges is final and irrevocable. Criteria for judging. Adherence to costume requirement of the country represented, 50%. Creativity of the costume, 30%. Overall appeal, 20%. For a total of 100%.
Mechanics and criteria for the United Nations Poster Making Contest. Virtual Poster Making Contest is open to all high school students of St. Therese-MTC colleges in all 3 sites, the Magdalo, Tigbawan, and La Fiesta. Each grade and section must have 1 representative. The poster must illustrate, interpret, and emphasize this year's theme, Filipino Shared Legacy to World Peace and Unity. The following materials may be provided and used by the chosen representative. 1/8 illustration board, white background, and in vertical format. Any coloring material may be used. Entries must be submitted on or before October 26, 2020, Monday at 5 p.m. to Miss Paisley Margarica on her Facebook Messenger. Entries will be posted on high school Facebook page. The decision of the judges is final and irrevocable. Criteria for judging. Creativity and presentation, 40%. Originality, 30%. Relevance to the theme, 30%, with a total of 100%. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us all witness the parade of pictures of our dear students wearing the national costumes of different countries and to be followed by the entries for the poster making contest.
a long time of deliberation, we have selected the lucky ones. First, we will be announcing the winners for the best in poster making, and to be followed by the best in costume awardees. Congratulations not only to the winners but also to those who have participated in the said contest. It is truly a job well done. Indeed, people may come from different nations, but the important thing is to be educated so we would know and be aware of the differences the different nations have. Through this, we shall maintain a peaceful and harmonious relationship with each other.
At this juncture, Mr. Rene Voltaire P. Obedencia, OSS Head, Magdalasay, will give his closing remarks.
To our beloved President, Dr. Maria Teresa S. Sarabia, to our young and dynamic Vice President, Mr. John Frederick S. Sarabia, to our Administrative Assistant, Ms. Mary Margaret Rose S. Sarabia, to our very supportive and active site representative, Chiefmate Ray G. Langrio, to all deans, department heads, faculty, friends, and dear students, good afternoon. I would like to express my humble gratitude to the facilitators of this year's United Nations celebration for making it possible despite of pandemic. To our dear students, the present conditions we have is not a hindrance to contribute in spreading peace and goodwill to men. Since we shifted from traditional method of teaching to a high technological instruction, from face-to-face to remote form of teaching and learning, we can use all forms of social media platforms to raise awareness about peace. Let us stop all forms of bullying, harassment, and intimidation that may cause conflicts with one another or even beyond borders. Let us be more considerate, accepting, embracing with our differences, and be tolerant with our uniqueness. I really hope that this event brings in-depth understanding about peace. Just like what the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, he prayed, Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Let us not be peace lovers, but let us also be peacemakers. We are not only lovers of peace, but doers of things that promotes peace. Good day, everyone.
To end this momentous event, let us sing together our school hymn.
We sing to you, St. Therese-MTC colleges, where ideas, knowledge, and truth are held up high. Your motto, honor, and valor, we treasure them with pride. We, your sons and daughters, will always be loyal to you. Hail to you, dear alma mater. You brighten up the pathways of our future, singing and praising you with unending joy. St. Therese-MTC colleges, we love you forevermore. We believe you are the way, the light for everybody. Enkindle our minds towards reality, a reality of men searching for a meaning to develop it everywhere. Hail to you, dear alma mater. You brighten up the pathways of our future, singing and praising you with unending joy. St. Therese-MTC colleges, we love you forevermore.
That concludes our program for today.
My name is Maria Teresa
And I am Rockwell Rigby, your host to the first ever virtual United Nations celebration of St. Therese-MTC College's High School Department. Thank you so much for watching.